Homer is the legendary author of the Iliad and Odyssey, two epic poems that are the central works of the ancient Greek literature. The Iliad is set during the Trojan War, the 10-year siege of the city of Troy by the coalition of Greek kingdoms. It focuses on the quarrel between King Agamemnon and the warrior Achilles. Many accounts of Homer's life circulated in classical antiquity, the most widespread being that he was a blind bard from Ionia. The important question to ponder on whom, when, where, and under what circumstances were the Iliad and Odyssey composed? Broadly speaking, modern scholarly opinions fall into two groups. One holds that most of the Iliad and the Odyssey are works of a single poet of the genius, and the other consider it to be the result of process of working and reworking by many contributors. It is generally accepted that the poems were composed at some point around the late 8th and early 7th century before Christianity. The poems are in Homeric Greek, also known as the Epic Greek. From antiquity until the present day, the influence of the Homeric epics of Western civilization has greatly inspired many of his famous works of literature, music, art, and films. The Homeric epics were the greatest influence on ancient Greek culture and education.
During the Trojan War, King Agamemnon of Achaean was forced to give up the daughter of a priest of Apollo. Agamemnon captured Briseis, whom Achilles values greatly. Achilles resents the offense but is prevented by Athena from fighting with Agamemnon. Achilles refuses to fight. His mother requests Zeus to help the Trojans to defeat the Achaeans. To prevent war, Paris, the Trojan prince who started the war by stealing the wife of Menelaus, proposes a duel between them. Menelaus is about to defeat Paris, Aphrodite rescues him and the war is reignited. Athena helped Diomedes, enabling him to wound Aphrodite and Ares. Hector requests the gods to send Paris back to the battlefield. The gods hand fighting for the day with a duel between Hector and great Ajax. As both sides take a day off to bury the dead, Achaeans build a wall around their ships. When fighting resumes, Zeus forbids the gods to interfere. With Zeus' help, the Trojans push toward the Achaean ships. Agamemnon leads a rally, but Hector pushes them back to their wall. Alarmed, Agamemnon offers Achilles many prizes, including Briseis, but as he offers no apology, Achilles is not appeased. Achaeans captains Odysseus and Diomedes make a night raid on the Trojans. Next morning, Agamemnon pushes the Trojans back, but then Zeus turns the tide by wounding the Achaean captains. Achaeans fight valiantly, but Zeus empowers the Trojan and threatens the Achaean ships. When Zeus takes his eye off the war, Poseidon inspires Achaeans to kill and wound many Trojans, holding them off the ships.
As the Trojans reach the ships, Achilles' close friend Patroclus begs him to return and save the Achaeans. Due to his anger, Achilles refuses, but he lets Patroclus use his armor and chariot to make the Trojans think he has returned. Patroclus led the army and succeeded in pushing the Trojans all the way back to their own city walls. He goes up against Hector, who kills him. Hector strips Achilles' armor from Patroclus and puts the armor on. Achilles, having heard of his comrade's death, appears. Now, Achilles no longer cares about his quarrel with Agamemnon. All of his anger is focused on killing Hector. Achilles rages against the Trojans, slaughtering huge numbers. No mortal can stand against him. He sends the entire Trojan army retreating back into the city. Ashamed that he has led the Trojan army to defeat, Hector waits for Achilles outside the gates of Troy. Hector was chased down by Achilles. Achilles kills Hector through a weak spot in the armor he knows so well, which was Achilles' old armor. In his anger, Achilles abuses Hector's body and drags it behind his chariot. Achilles and the Achaeans hold a funeral for Patroclus and compete in games in his honor. But Hector's family and the Trojans have no such comfort. Priam, Hector's father, entered the Achaean camp to appeal to Achilles to retrieve his son's body back. Achilles is moved by Priam's word and allows the Trojans time to bury Hector.
When it comes to the Iliad and the many godly encounters within its text, it isn't hard to assume one would consider it to be fiction, but there is numerous evidence that suggests otherwise. The reminiscence of Troy can be found in modern-day Hisarlik, a UNESCO archaeological site in Turkey. Although it should be known that based on the cracks found on the walls, it is believed that an earthquake could have destroyed the city 100 years prior to the events of the Iliad. The Iliad is also important due to it giving us a glimpse of past events that could have unfolded, such as the Trojan War during the Greek Dark Ages, a time in which the Mycenaean civilization faced decline and ultimately came to an end. We also know from the text that women were not treated the same as men, and that they were seen as mere objects, probably by the Mycenaeans and the Greeks. But then again, the story has been passed down from one to another orally, and it is highly likely that it has been altered to suit the people at the time.
One can make a strong argument that the Iliad seems to celebrate war. Characters emerge as worthy or despicable based on their degree of competence and bravery in battle. Achilles wins eternal glory by rejecting the option of a comfortable life at home. The text itself seems to support this means of judging character and extends it even to the gods. The epic holds up warlike characters such as Athena. To fight is to prove one's honor and integrity, while to avoid warfare is to demonstrate laziness and fears. Part of what gives the Iliad its deep humanity is its sensitive portrayal of love in a variety of forms. Some of the most touching moments in the poem come between Hector and his wife, which reveal the love of the spouses for one another. Parental love is also important in motivating Priam to ask for the return of the body of Hector at the end of the book. Sexual love is an incredibly powerful force that takes away people's ability to think, exemplified by the spark of the Trojan War due to the love triangle between Helen, Paris, and Menelaus. The Iliad relies heavily on the theme of fate and free will. The poem seems to rest on the notion that man does not have a choice in how his life will turn out, because it has already been chosen for him. For example, Achilles' mother laments the birth of her son, alluding to his coming death during the Trojan War. She behaves as if there is no escaping what has been decided by fate. Hector also makes it clear to his wife that there is nothing anybody can do to prevent his death, should it be stated to happen. Men have no say in the direction of their lives because fate has already decided the outcome.